Hello and welcome to game number 2 here at Bartonville and Limestone High School of the Limestone Regional. Game 1 featured a win from Richwoods over East Peoria, 69-40, and now we are awaiting tip-off for game number 2 between two Mid-Illini foes, the Washington Panthers and the Morton Potters. Hello, everybody. I'm Owen Dimple. Alongside me is my color man, Michael Savoy. And Michael, we got two Mid-Illini teams. This is the third time they're going to be playing each other this year. Morton has had the edge up on them on both previous matchups. But what can you say about playing a team for a third time?
It's really hard to beat a team 3 times for any sport. It doesn't matter if the team you beat's 0-25 and you're 25-0. It still is really hard to beat a team 3 times, and it'll be interesting to see how this game goes along. We obviously know Morton's record compared to the Washington record. Morton coming with the record of 27-4, and Washington coming in with a record of 14-15. But as we say, Owen, in the playoffs, when playoffs come around, the records can be thrown out the window. It's all about who wants it the most and who has the most heart.
Certainly, records, seeding can all be thrown out the door in a blink of an eye come playoffs. And when you look at both these teams, Washington, it's kind of been a turbulent season, a lot of ups, a lot of downs. And then you look at Morton, and it's just been smooth sailing. They've just put win after win and put together a really strong season, led by the senior Gus Ruggard alongside the junior Wes Goodman.
Yeah, usually, with the Potters, when I have players to look out for, usually I just put down 3, but really in a way I put down 4. I put down Evan Barlow, the FGCU commit. He's going to be a difference maker for this team as he has been all season. Wes Goodman, he's also been a difference maker. He's more of their big man. He can do it all as a forward, and I put down the Rugard brothers, both Tripp and Gus Rugard. They can both play, and they play really well together. So it'll be interesting to see how the Potters play with their starting 5, because their starting 5, not a lot of teams in the area can say this, their starting 5 has been solid the whole season.
Then on the flip side for the Panthers, they're led by the senior Braden Vanderheit and the junior C.J. Duncan. So Washington can match them with their own firepower, but can they last throughout the full game? We'll have to wait and see. But, yeah, looking at this, the third matchup, first game was won by Morton on a buzzer-beater three-pointer by Wes Goodman in a 58-55 victory. And then going back just to last Tuesday, the last time these two teams recently played, a 51-39 victory by the Morton Potters. So they definitely have the knowledge and the skill to beat Washington, but what do you think Washington's going to have to do to get the upset today?
Well, Washington for this year and for the past couple of years, they've been more undersized than what they've been accustomed to. So when it comes to smaller teams like Washington, they're going to do the small stuff right. They got to box out. They got to hit the free throws. But really for Washington, it's all about time of possession. How long do you hold the ball? And when you hold the ball, do you make your shots? And we saw that against Metamora, and they actually gave Metamora a run for their money. So it'll be interesting to see how Washington and Coach Schermerhorn goes about their business tonight.
And now starting lineups being announced here. First for the Washington Panthers, it's the junior guard, Andre Lewis. And we got the junior number 10, C.J. Duncan. James Johnson, the sophomore. We got 14, Colt Craighead. And then rounding out the starting 5 for the Panthers is the senior number 40, Braden Vanderheit.
Yeah, Craighead getting the start for the Panthers, something that Schermerhorn doesn't necessarily do. This is not a rare start by Craighead, but kind of unusual.
And now for the starting 5 for the Morton Potters, it's going to start with number 2, Evan Barlow. And then the previously mentioned Gus Rugard and his brother Tripp Rugard. And number 25, Calvin Boker. And rounding out the starting 5 is Wes Gudeman. We are awaiting tip here at Limestone High School. Washington wearing the all blacks with the white outlined orange lettering, along with the numbers as well. Then for the Morton Potters, the white uniforms got the gray numbers with the red outline and the red Potters across the chest.
Yeah, both teams looking sharp. I always appreciate Washington's uniforms. I like their use of black and orange, and I also really like Morton's colors, so good uniform matchup too.
Now, Washington wins the opening tip, and it'll be Andre Lewis leading the offense to start. Swings it over. That's James Johnson down in the paint. Tries to go to work, kicks it out. C.J. Duncan, he'll go right back to Johnson. He's guarded by Wes Goodeman. He's going to post him up, spin around, put up the layup. No good off the glass. Rebounded by Vanderhyde. He puts it up and gets the layup.
It's a really strong start by the Panthers, and they're really testing Goodman early. Let's see how Morton responds.
Vanderhyde gets the scoring started for the Panthers. Seeing a little full court press here from the Panthers. Trip Rugard bringing the ball out. He'll give it up to his brother, Gus Rugard. Still working it right side of the key. Finds down low. That's Evan Barlow. Loses it. Corrals it again. Kicks it out. Trip Rugard. Top of the key. Swings it left. And that's Gus Rugard. Loses it. Grabbed by Duncan in transition, but he lost the ball. He's on the ground. Throws it away to Boker. He's going to slam it home. Calvin Boker with the slam.
Yep, he can do that, and what a start by the Morton Potters. It seemed like Washington might have gotten momentum early, but that slam dunk, now the momentum shifted over to the Potters.
Now we're going to get a whistle on Evan Barlow. He pushed the Washington Panther out of bounds. 6:41 here in the first quarter. It's even 2-2. Washington with the basketball. Inbounding it underneath the basket. Finds Craighead. He's double teamed, split it, picked up his dribble, kicks it out. Vanderhyde, his three-pointer. No good, little more than he wanted. And now in transition is Rugard. Puts up the layup, high off the glass, it's good. Gus Rugard with the layup. Potters with a 4-2 lead here. Couple minutes into the first quarter. Andre Lewis goes to work. He'll get off to C.J. Duncan. Duncan, he's been praised by Coach Schermerhorn for his development over the past few years. That one's poked away by Trip Rugard. Rugard just being a pest defensively on Lewis.
He's been like that all season. He's the reason why he starts a lot of the games is because of his heart and effort.
Trip, maybe not as much of a scorer, but a terrific passer and just knows how to command this Potter offense. Now James Johnson with the basketball. He'll swing left to Lewis. Takes a couple dribbles, tried to go around the screen. Now Craighead with it. And the Panthers not being able to get any paint touches. Just a stifling defense by the Potters.
Yeah, but I talked about this in the pregame. How long does Washington roll into the ball? Time of possession is big for them. It's just a steal.
Poked away by Trip Rugard. He puts it in. Trip Rugard with his first bucket. Gives the Potters 6-2 advantage. Here, 5:12 to play in the first quarter. Now the Panthers will go to work on offense. Now Lewis with the ball. Top of the key, he'll dribble left side, drives in the paint, puts it up, off the glass, good.
It's a really tough take by Lewis and good response by the Panthers. It seemed like the momentum was going all Potter way. Good response.
Lewis cuts the deficit to 2. Now Trip Rugard trying to get the offense set up. He'll work it around. Potter's doing a great job swinging the ball around. Now here's Goodeman right at the free throw, and he'll drive, puts it up, a little too much off the glass. Ball rolling around on the ground. And it was Barlow who got dirty for it and gave it off to Calvin Boker. Now Potter's looking to reset. 4:20 here in the first quarter. They lead it 6-4. The Potters, they're playing patient. They know they can get a right shot if they play their cards right. That one almost knocked away by Craighead. Now Trip Rugard goes into the paint. We'll get a whistle, and they'll be called on James Johnson for his first.
I talked about Washington being patient with the ball. That's their key for success, but Morton's also doing that, and if they're finding opportunities to get to the basket, and they're also wasting time. So good job by the Potters, being patient and taking points when they're given to them.
Alex McKee and Grant Selke check in for the Potters. They'll inbound it underneath the basket, bounce pass to Rugard. His three-pointer He was fouled on the three-point basket, and it's an and one opportunity for the Potters.
What a shot by Ruger in the corner. That's not an easy shot to make, folks. He was fending away in the corner, the right corner, and a Washington player bumped into him, makes the three-point shot, and he's got an opportunity for the rare four-point play.
Great shot by Rugard. In the previous game, last Tuesday against Washington, he had 13 points. One of the leading scorers of this team. He's a type of player who can go out any night and score 20 or more. So he misses the free throw. Now with 4 to play here in the first quarter, Morton leads 9-4. Here's Lewis with the basketball. Floats it over to Vanderheit. They'll work it into the post. Gives it off to James Johnson. Kicks it out. And that's Kamienski's three. No good. Rebounded by McKee.
If they go and the Potter coach is telling them to go, they have numbers.
They got numbers indeed. Barlow's corner three. Short. Rebounded by Rugard. Kicks it out. McKee, three-pointer. Good! Alex McKee knocks down the tray and gives the Potters a 12-4 lead here. 3:26 to play in the first quarter, as Washington's going to need a timeout to get things adjusted.
Washington starts out the game on their own run. They got the first basket of the game, but ever since then it's been a 12-2 run for Morton. They've taken control of the game since that first basket for Washington. You got to credit the defensive pressure for the Potters, and when they have a good defensive possession, they also turn into a good offensive possession. They're very patient. They look for their shot. And right now, I mean, it's not surprising to see them up by 8.
You got to admire the way, Morton, functions on offense. They're a very patient team. We've seen that so far. They're not afraid to swing the ball around, looking for the right post touch. You'll get it into Wes Gudeman, and he can kick it out to an open three-point shooter, as was Alex McKee the last time. So we'll resume play here. They throw it down the court to Andre Lewis. His layup good.
Oh,
what
wow.
a play.
That was like a alley-oop almost from the opposite baseline, and a good start by Washington out of their timeout. Now they're down by 6.
I was thinking more like a fly route in football.
That too.
Washington had a terrific football season. That's turned over. Panthers with it. Kamienski with it. They'll slow down James Johnson with the ball.
See if the Panthers can capitalize off of more turnover and see if they can capture that momentum.
James Johnson thought about the three, took the jab step, but he'll step back. Working the post on Gudeman. Nice up and under move, won't go. Rebounded by Calvin Boker, and he was fouled on the rebound.
Right now, Owen, you're seeing two Mid-Illini rivals go right at it. In this game, if it's like this for all of the game, I'll be looking forward to see the ending of it.
And that was Colt Craighead picking up his first foul there. 2:39 here in the first quarter. Morton with a 12-6 lead over Washington. The Potters bring it over half court. And a deep three-pointer by Gus Rugard off the front end of the rim. The ball loosely went out of bounds. Last touch by a Panther, so the Potters will regain possession.
Yeah, you can't have that if you're Washington. A loose ball going out of bounds, that should have been a for sure rebound, and you're just giving a team like Morton, a team that is 27-4 good like Morton, more opportunities to score.
Selke will take a seat on the bench. The Potters will inbound it. Trip Rugard running out of options. Finally launches to Boker. And Tripp getting directions from his head coach Abe Zeller in his first year here at Morton. That was knocked away by Craighead.
Yeah, Zeller in his first year in the Potters program, and 27-4. That's pretty impressive for your first year. You gotta give it to him.
Good first impression here from Zeller. Here's a drive by Rugard, kicks over to Boker. He puts up the shot, no good, tipped out. Lewis saved it, and Craighead right there. Great effort play by Andre Lewis.
There's one thing about Eric Schermerhorn's teams, it's that they give maximum effort all 32 minutes.
Now Lewis drives, nice floater off the glass. It's good. Andre Lewis up to 6 points, and he has 6 out of the 8 for the Panthers.
He's single-handedly bringing them back in this game.
Braden Vanderheit with the other 2. He got it from the opening basket. 1:30 to play here in the first quarter. Deep 3 ball, no good over the basket. That was Evan Barlow on the 3-point attempt. Evan Barlow, the Florida Gulf Coast commit, as a preferred walk-on. He's been having a great season for the Potters. Last Tuesday against Washington, he had 11 points.
And his last game against MacArthur, he also had 15. And, you know, like I said before about the Rugard brothers, Gus Rugard in that game had 20, and Wes Goodman had 16 of his own in that game, and won against MacArthur.
Yeah, big win for the Potters. 70-54 over MacArthur. Lewis loses the ball. A couple bodies hit the ground, and it's Trip Rugard. Dishes it out to Selke. His layup good. Selke with his first points. A great job by Trip Rugard to be right there with the basketball and finding the open teammate. We talked, he's a great passer. This season having a great assist to turnover ratio. Just knows where to go with the ball. Vanderheit pump fakes, drives, puts up the right hook, no good, gets his own miss, tries to kick it out, will do so, and now it's Lewis with the ball. He drives, his floater, no good, but he was, it was an offensive foul. Andre Lewis with the charge.
Evan Barlow selling out his body, and as a coach, Abe Zeller, you got to be pleased with the effort always. As a coach, you're always happy to see someone put their body on the line for your team.
So far, 4 fouls for Washington, so they haven't hit the 5 threshold to shoot free throws here in the rest of the first quarter with 37 seconds. So Morton will inbound it out of the baseline.
I like this idea for Washington to slow them down with the full court press, the full court man-to-man press.
Now Rugard gives it off to Goodeman. Back to Rugard. He finds Goodeman down in the right low post. Kicks it out. Trip Rugard. His 3-pointer. Good! Trip Rugard for 3.
That almost felt too easy for Morton. You triple team Wes Goodeman down low, and he's sure to find a wide open 3-point shooter and Trip Rugard for 3.
Rugard squared with 5 points each here in the opening quarter. Clock rolls under 4. Duncan's just going to have to throw it up high off the glass, no good. And the first quarter buzzer rings here at Limestone with Morton leading 17-8 over the Washington Panthers. So a great first quarter start here, Michael, between 2 very competitive teams, and we're seeing that on the court already.
Yeah, this score right now is not indicative of how both these teams have been playing against each other. Both these teams are giving their heart and soul out. They don't want to go home, and I don't blame them. In the postseason, you don't want to end your season. And right now, the Washington Panthers, they're down by 9, but the way they've been playing, they probably would think that they were tied with Morton so far, but due to their defensive lapses, double teaming and triple teaming the down low man, that being Wes Goodman, allowing 3-point shots and turnovers on their own offensive end, have killed them for the past minute. But give credit to Morton, their defense and just their overall play. Their defense has been really good, and they know how to guard the Washington players, and their offensive end, they know how to get the points.
Yeah, it's going to be a tall task going up against that potent Morton offense, but they can go head-to-head with them. We saw it in the first matchup, a 58-55 result. Washington has the potential to, pull off the upset, but they're going to have to pull off the right strings and play a full 4-quarter effort. First quarter, like you said, they had good defensive plays and had good shots to open up. Some of them have to, fall, but they just stay where they are. They can find a way to be in this game in the fourth quarter, and who knows, they could be pulling off the upset.
Yeah, it just wasn't a good last minute of the first quarter for Washington. Without that last minute, I'm sure it's around 12-8, so just not a good last minute.
Now here's Goodeman, kicks it out. Barlow wide open at the wing, and that's going to be good every single time. Evan Barlow, wide open 3-pointer, makes it a 20-8 Potter lead over the Panthers.
That is one of those shots that you look back on, and you have to admit Morton has the momentum starting the second quarter because of that shot.
Craighead's three-pointer, no good, left it short. And that was Vanderheit trying to throw it back in, but a Potter right there. Quick transition leads to a Barlow layup. And that's some quick scoring from the Potters to open up the second quarter. And if you're Coach Schermerhorn, that's not how you wanted to start that second quarter.
Definitely not. And it's not even a minute eclipse in the second quarter, and it's already a 5-0 run for the Potters, something that any coach, let alone Eric Schermerhorn, would not be pleased with. And I got to imagine in this timeout, they got to talk about, don't sleep on this Potters team. Don't take any offensive possessions for granted, because at the end of the day, if you don't think an offensive possession matters, Morton's defense thinks it matters, and they're going to definitely try to turn you over and get transition buckets on the offensive end.
And Potters, they're just showing their dual threat ability on offense. They can, be patient, find the right shot, or they can score in transition and be quick with it. So definitely just a offense, you got to keep your toes on the ground and make sure you keep in front of them.
Yeah, Morton's one of those teams where they have they have pretty much everything going for them. They have a big man that can score, they have a big man that draws attention, they have ball handlers, and they have shooters.
That one's knocked away by Barlow. Tried to feed it inside to Vanderheit. It was a quick turnover by Will Martin, who just checked into the game. Now Rugard going around the top of the key. He'll get it back from Barlow. Gives it off to his brother, Gus. Panthers playing good defense right here, just sticky man-to-man, not letting most players get an opportunity to get the ball. Here's Selke way deep right corner next to us. Barlow right side tries to kick it out. Wes Gudeman thought about it, top of the key. Here's Russ Rugard, tries to drive, kicks it out to Tripp. He'll drive, puts up the floor, denied by Andre Lewis. Potter still with the ball. 6 minutes to go here in the second quarter. Up 22-8. Wes Gudeman now trying to find anything. Throws it up, high off the glass, no good, but he got the whistle. And he'll get 2 shots at the charity stripe.
It's one of those defensive possessions if you're Washington. You're not pleased with the foul at the end of the day, but, man, that was a great defensive possession. They looked locked in. I can see it from here. Their faces were locked in on the ball. They were locked in. They wanted to cause a turnover, but it just didn't go their way.
James Johnson picking up his second foul as Wes Gudeman makes the first of 2 free throws. Second free throw. Gets the friendly bout. Rolls in, and he'll get checked out. Bringing in Calvin Boker, the 6'6 junior. So after 2 Gudeman free throws, it's now a 24-8 Morton lead. Now we'll see the Panthers go to work on offense. James Johnson, top of the key, looking around, trying to find something. Gives it off to Lewis. Dribbling around right wing, finds corner. That was Colt Craighead. They'll swing it around now. James Johnson, left wing. Craighead, top of the key. Vanderheit now right side, feeds it down low. Now a three-pointer from James Johnson. It's good. Off the backboard.
The bank is open at 7:44, and that was a really good shot by Johnson. Got a wide open 3 and made it.
In a quick transition, none other than Gus Rugard getting a quick 2. 5 minutes to go here, second quarter, 26-11, Potters lead. Here's a drive by Andre Lewis. Nice finger roll off the glass. Lewis up to 8 points for the Panthers.
If Washington wants any chance to get back in this game, they're going to have to get some defensive stops, because right when Washington scores, Morton always has an answer for them, and that's why the lead has ballooned to 13 for them.
Potters so far shooting well. Here's a play underneath the basket. Calvin Boker missed it, but he got hacked.
Just something that Washington doesn't need. And, they're locked in on defense. I'm not saying they're not locked in. You can definitely see they're locked in, but sometimes you can make one wrong move and it can draw a foul, and sometimes you make a wrong move and leaves the shooter wide open.
Colt Craighead picks up his second foul. This is the first free throw missed by Boker, and so far we're seeing a great offensive performance from Morton, and that's just been the name of the game this year for them. Their recent game against MacArthur as a team shot 54% from the field, 40% from three, and 70% from the free throw line.
That'll win you some ball games.
Boker's shot no good. Has a little bit of a kind of funky delivery on the free throw attempts. Almost like a hitch in his shot form, but now the Panthers have it. James Johnson looking, gives it off to Craighead, gave it back to Johnson. Trying to communicate here on offense. Can't seem to get on the same page. Now Lewis gets the screen from Johnson. He'll give it back to Johnson. Thought about the three-pointer. He'll drive inside. He's guarded by Wes Gudeman. Kicks it out. That was DeAndre Jackson into the game. Lewis gives it to Jackson. Craighead, right wing. Looking. Can't find anything. Lewis, far corner. Trying to do something. Little jab steps. Kicks it out. Craighead, corner three. No good. Rebounded by McKee. The Panthers trying to set a double team.
Oh, wow. What a pass.
Rugard trips over his own feet. Gets the ball back from Gudeman. Three-pointer, little too much. Rebounded. 50-50 ball now onto the ground. And Vanderhyde, after all that, has it.
What a good defensive possession by the Powders, and they weren't able to connect it on the offensive end, but it's also a good job by Washington settling everything down, because the last thing they need is to force another turnover. They need a bucket on this possession.
Yeah, I feel like a huge key for Washington is going to be getting those 50-50 balls, and they showed they can do it right there. Three-pointer, good! James Johnson with his second three-pointer.
That's very much needed for this Panthers team. James Johnson already hit another shot in this game, and he's been doing pretty well shooting the ball so far.
2:45 here in the second quarter. Morton leading Washington 26-16. They'll swing it around top of the key. It's Gus Rugard on the right wing. Gets a screen from Steffen. He'll drive now. Right baseline. It's good. Silas Steffen gets the scoring started for himself. 28-16, Potters lead. Lewis with the ball at midcourt, trying to slow down, catch his breath, see what Washington can do on this possession. He'll drive left side, try to put up the floor. It might have been partially blocked by Gus Rugard, and the Potters have it.
I would have liked Andre Lewis to go up with his left hand and not his right hand. He gave himself up with his right hand there, got the easy block if you're the Potters.
Morton with the ball. Wes Gudeman, top of the key, swings it around, tries to back his defender in. He's defended by Vanderhyde. He'll get the whistle. Braden Vanderhyde picking up his first foul. And Gudeman will get free throws. First one up, and it's good. See substitutions here from both teams. Barlow comes back in. And Trip Rugard. Luke Kamienski comes in for the Panthers as Gudeman makes his second free throw. So he has 4 points, all from the free throw line so far. 1:43 here, second quarter. It's a Potter 14-point lead. Lewis swings it around, finds James Johnson underneath, layup good. James Johnson with the layup, and he's now up to 8 points.
Like I said before, Washington needs to string together some defensive stops because they've been scoring, but Morton always has an answer for them. So key for Washington to end this quarter, defensive stops.
Complementary basketball is definitely going to be a key in this game for both teams. Trip Rugard now near the half-court line, guarded by Lewis. He'll give it up to Barlow. Finds wide open, Trip Rugard underneath, layup good. Trip Rugard with the basket.
That's great offense by the Powders. Got a nice cut there by Trip Rugard, and he was able to find himself wide open right by the basket. It can't get much easier than that.
48 seconds to go here, second quarter. 32-18 Morton. Andre Lewis with the ball, looking, gives it up to James Johnson. Being guarded by Gudeman right in his face. gives it up to Lewis. Try to dribble his three-pointer from the left wing. Rims in and out. The rebound is going to stay with Washington as the ball went out of bounds off a Morton Potter. 29.7 here on the clock. Washington will inbound it from their own baseline. Lewis will be the inbounder. He's having a good first half, up to 8 points. Finds Will Martin in the corner, gives it up to Kaminsky. Poked away as Vanderhyde tried to get it by Goodeman. With 20 seconds, you got to wonder if Washington might just hold it for the last shot.
I wouldn't blame them if they did. If you can make this last shot, if you can get a good shot attempt on this last shot, it can go a long way.
Now Vanderhyde top of the key, hands it off to Craghead. He'll drive, free throw line, spins around, kicks it out, back out to Vanderhyde. Free throw shot jumper, good, and one. Braden Vanderhyde with the and one.
What a shot by Vanderhyde, and that's exactly what you need if you're Washington. It wasn't a buzzer beater, but it didn't have to be. It's just 1.2 seconds remaining in the quarter. The only chance Morton has an opportunity to hit a shot is if they really just throw it down and hope they have a good look. But if this free throw goes in by Vanderhyde, it really can go a long way. You're only down by 11 at that point.
Foul goes on the sophomore, Owen Adams. Adams, a terrific golfer for the Morton team. He was a PJ Star All-Area team. Free throw knocked in by Vanderhyde. Now, Tripp Rugard couldn't get the shot off as it goes to 0 here in the first half at Limestone. So here at half, Morton leading 32-21 over the Washington Panthers. Saw a good first half from both teams, a lot of scoring so far. And this is unofficially just kind of keeping track from ourselves. For Washington, Vanderhyde with 5. James Johnson, 8. Andre Lewis with 8. And then for the Morton Potters, Calvin Boker with 2. Gus Rugard with 7. Tripp Rugard with 7 as well. Alex McKee had a big three-pointer. Grant Selke with a bucket. Evan Barlow with 5. Wes Goodeman with 4. And Silas Steffen with 2. Overall, what's your first half thoughts, Michael?
So I mean, in a way, this is a shocker, and I'm not saying that because I expected it to be even further apart. I expected this to be a lot closer than what it was. You know, when you look at Morton, you think of 27-4 versus Washington's 14-15. You think that, you know, maybe this game should be a blowout, but the way Washington plays, I mean, they try to hold the ball. They try to hold the ball until they get a good shot, and they play the game their way. And, you know, I expect this game to be a lot closer. Credit Morton's defense, credit their overall game. They turn their defense in the offense, and they've been really aggressive on the defensive end, very patient and passive on the offensive end, led the buckets on their part. And then you got to credit Washington at the end. You know, the quarter didn't go too well for them in terms of the overall span of it, but the last 3 points by Vanderhyde to end off the quarter, they had won with 1.2 seconds remaining to only cut this deficit to 11 for them. You got to credit them too.
Yeah, that was a crucial sequence of events for Washington, getting that three-point play out of Vanderhyde. And Washington, they've played a lot of close games this season, and a lot of them haven't gone their way. Had some buzzer beater losses from Dunlap. Morton, we said from the first matchup, the Goodeman three-pointer, and then at Normal West in the Crossroads shootout last second. But you got to feel that all that close games that they've been in could really benefit them here in the postseason if they find themselves in a similar situation.
Yeah, and, you know, it's not even just the buzzer beater losses, the single-digit losses that they have. You know, you got to think about how they play these good teams. Like Metamora, they played very passive against the Redbirds. It actually ended up being more like a football score at the end of the day. It was 26-36 in favor of the Redbirds. So the way Washington plays, they can very much be successful. And, you know, this second half in the locker room, Eric Schimmelhorn needs to talk to his players about, you know, coming back in this game. Do they really have the heart to come back?
Here at halftime, we'll bring on Jonathan Michael to talk IHSA playoff basketball here with Michael.
Oh, boy.
Appreciate it, Owen. Thanks for having me in here in the booth. I had a fun time watching the first half of this one. But, Michael, I mean, lots of good action going on in the playoffs. This is probably the busiest day in terms of amount of games we'll have the rest of the year. What do you have your eyes on, Michael?
I have my eyes on, the 2A brackets, the Central Catholic and Peoria Manual. I was actually interested to see the outcome of that game. Manual winning pretty handily over the Saints. I just lost track of the score in my end, but I think it was around 80-50 in favor of the Rams. Pretty dominant win by the Rams. They look to be very, very powerful in Class 2A after being in Class 3A the past couple of seasons. And that's a game I was looking out for.
Yeah, certainly. That was a big one. Some other final scores that I found out. Princeville beat Midland in Class 1A, so they'll move on to play for a regional title. And how about this game between Tremont and El Paso Gridley? El Paso Gridley receiving votes in the state poll had Jonah Funk, Mike Amis, that really intimidating duo. They got by Tremont, but only by a final score of 53-51. Turks almost upset the Titans over at the P&D Regional.
As a 1A school in Tremont, you can't really
2A.
sleep on 2A school in Tremont, that's a team you can definitely sleep on, and that team really comes out to play. So, El Paso Gridley, they've had a great season so far, and they get to continue.
Certainly, they'll face the winner of Normal U-High and P&D. That one's going on right now. That game, I think, could really be a toss-up. P&D, again, under 500. They dealt with some injury issues. Owen Dillon was out for some time. He's back now, and P&D has looked really good. So a tough draw, honestly, for the Pioneers facing the Irish in that first-round game. We'll see what becomes of that. Again, real quick, I want to shout out, head over to clutchsportsil.com/overtime. You'll have all the scores, all the top performers from around the area like we do every single night. So look off all the scores in one place, head on over there.
Yeah, you talk about Peoria Notre Dame, the injuries they had with Owen Dillon. The 6th seed for them is very misleading. They're one of the better teams in Class 2A in terms of talent, so don't be surprised that they make a, you can call it a sneaky playoff run, but as a 6th seed, anything can happen with them.
Certainly, as we look at kind of what else is going on in Class 3A, obviously the winner of this game plays Richwoods, who just took down East Peoria 69-40. They looked really good in that game, so whoever wins this one has a steep test ahead of them. But again, looking ahead, let's look at Class 3A as well. The other regionals that were part of the Pontiac sectional, there's the regional up in Streeter. It's Kankakee, Morris, Streeter, and Pontiac. Kankakee is the team that I have my on there. Number 9 in Class 3A right now. So that could be a potential sectional semifinal matchup for whoever wins this regional.
Yeah, Kankakee, the number 1 seed, they have a very easy run going in their regional, and don't be surprised if they see themselves matched up with either Richwoods or Morton, Richwoods now, but we'll see the final score of Morton and Washington.
And then also in the other regional, Metamora just throttled Galesburg tonight. They will play for a regional title. And then we're awaiting the the winner of Peoria High and Dunlap. That game going on right now as well. Peoria High playing some pretty good basketball. Dunlap, they got Max Sutter back. So again, anything's possible. Dunlap just beat Peoria High in girls basketball at Geneseo as well, just like the boys are doing tonight. We'll see again. Not saying that Dunlap is beating Peoria High right now, but Dunlap girls did beat Peoria High 47-45 in the regional semis last week as well.
It's pretty much a carbon copy of, the playoff matchup they had in Geneseo, like you said, and Max Sutter back for Dunlap and Peoria High. Always a tough matchup with the Sean Stowers and company, so that should be a good one.
Certainly, and we'll look at over at Class 4A, Normal Community won against Minooka tonight, so they will move on to face the winner of Rock Island and Normal West. That one, regional title game, one to watch out for as well. Rock Island, a very good team. Normal West, that game would be a rematch of their regular season finale. 53-32, the Ironmen are winners. But Quincy just barely getting by Alton over in Class 4A. Blue Devils, Ironmen, that's a potential matchup down the road as well. It's kind of fun to play what if, all these scenarios at this point of the playoffs, because there's still lots of possibilities in play, Michael.
Yeah, just because you're the number 1 seed or number 2 seed doesn't guarantee you anything. And, these teams, any team in the state playoffs, when it comes to even be from 1A to 4A, they know their seasons are on the line. It's not it's not like a 3-game series where, you can lose one, you can come back and win a couple. No, this is it. This is the games. And if you lose it, your season's over. And the seniors, especially for any team, they know their season's on the line in this playoff.
Michael, we got a little bit of time left at halftime. Not much, but play a quick little game. I want to ask you, who are your personal opinion, your of all the teams in the area most likely to reach the state championships down in Champaign, for each class, will start in Class 1A.
Illini Bluffs. It's hard to disagree with Illini Bluffs and, Hank Alvey and company, what they've been able to do this year in the regular season, and they're a team in 1A, a number one seed in their regional. I just mentioned that, the number one seed, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. All seasons are on the line, but, they're a really strong team.
Certainly. Class 2A, who you got? Lots of options there.
Oh, boy. I gotta say Manual. And
yep.
it makes too much sense to pick Manual, being a Class 3A team in the past, and they've been very confident in the past in Class 3A, and now they're in a smaller class in Class 2A. They're one of the best in Class 2A, so it's hard not to go with them.
Yeah, certainly. I think them and Fieldcrest, El Paso Gridley, again, all teams that could play at the Canton sectional. That one's going to be one to watch. Class 3A, I know who you got. I think some options there. Metamora is probably the easy pick, but
Richwoods.
Richwoods over Metamora.
I think with the senior power of Richwoods, when it comes to the playoffs, a lot of your weight goes on your seniors, and we know about Lathan Somerville, the Rutgers commit, Tavy Smith, all those players for Richwoods. And like you said, John, Metamora is the easy pick, and it should be the easy pick because they were just state champions a year ago, but my money's on Richwoods.
Certainly, Class 4A, probably pretty easy. Not many of those schools, just normal community, normal West, and Pekin. How about you? I got community.
Yeah, community is the easy one. Out of the three, they're the only one that's ranked in Class 4A. It's honestly too easy for that. So should be a fun playoffs.
Certainly going to be lots of great games the rest of the way out. But we'll toss it back to Owen Dimful. We'll hop alongside Michael Savoy here for the second half of Morton and Washington live on ClutchSportsIL.com.
Thank you very much, John. That was great insight right there on the local playoff basketball. We still got a lot of game here. Second half to play here at Limestone between Morton and Washington. And, Michael, what are your keys to the second half for both teams?
Washington needs to come out on a fast start because at the end of the day, they're down by 11. They're down by double digits. A fast start honestly goes a long way for them. Not only do they get points on a run, but they capture momentum that can get with them for the majority of the game. And for Morton, just keep playing with how you're playing. Wes Goodman is your X factor. Wes Goodman is your friend. When Wes Goodman gets the ball down low, Washington likes to triple team him, double team him. So finding those shooters on the three-point line will be pivotal for the Powders.
And Washington will inbound it to start the second half. That's great pressure right there from, that was Tripp Rugard, knocked the ball out of bounds and tried arguing to get the call their way. And it was close, but Panthers are going to keep the ball. A lot easier time inbounding that one underneath the basket. Here's James Johnson bring the ball up the court. Rugard sticky coverage on Lewis. Johnson guarded by Gudeman. He's on the left wing, dribbling around, trying to find anything.
Yeah, it looks like the Panthers are being more passive on this side, looking to see if they can get a shot that they like. No shot clock, so they can take as much time as they want.
Vanderheit setting the screen for his teammates. Colt Craggett, three-pointer. Not enough, missed it. Rebounded by Craggett, got his own shot. James Johnson now driving. Layup off the back end of the rebound, off the rim, rebounded by Barlow.
It's a good possession overall by Washington. Sure, you didn't get the basket, but you wasted some time off the clock, and you can look at that both ways. They're down by 11, you need the score, but that might be a good thing for this Panthers team.
Now Boker and Rugard going back and forth with the basketball. Rugard coming around, gives it off to his brother Gus. Deep three-pointer off the left end of the rim, no good. Goes out of bounds, Panther basketball.
It's a good defensive possession by Washington, and the defensive intensity for this Panthers team has not diminished since the opening tip. And it's just sometimes, you can't play perfect on the defensive end, so when they do give up buckets, they give up buckets, obviously. It's just all about capitalizing on the other end.
Luke Kamienski, the sophomore, checking in for DeAndre Jackson. Now Kamienski gives it off to James Johnson, kicks it over across the court, finds Vanderheit driving left side. He'll throw it. Kamienski's top of the corner, three ball, no good. Ball bouncing around for rebounded by Johnson. Corner three, good. James Johnson with the tray ball.
It's a big shot by Johnson, and like I said, Washington needs to start off on a good start, and they cut down the lead to single digits for the Powders.
Johnson up to 11 points now, leading the way for the Panthers. Here's Tripp Rugard, dribbling around, top of the key, gives it off to Gus Rugard. He'll drive, floater off the glass, good. Gus Rugard up to 9 points now. There's a defensive play by Evan Barlow, saves it from going out of bounds. Now the Potters got to quickly transition from defense to offense. Rugard down below, kicks it out to Rugard. Now Trip Rugard, ball fake, spins around on the pivot foot, up and under move. Oh, almost a great play by Trip Rugard, and he's going to pick up a foul going for the ball.
Yeah, just a little bit of a lazy inbound pass by the Panthers, and Morton makes them pay, but ultimately the Potters weren't able to capitalize on their own end, and Washington, catches a break there with the defense of the Potters.
Trip Rugard, he might be a guard, but man, those paint moves looked really nice and almost had a nice finish in there in the paint. He picked up his first foul, and now Washington will have it going the other way. Vanderheit, shot fake, gives off to Kaminsky, swings it over to Johnson. Top of the key, Lewis, knocked away by Barlow. Vanderheit hits the deck, saves it, gives it over to Colt Craighead. His three ball, good! Colt Craighead with the three ball.
When we were surprised when Colt Craighead got the start, and he doesn't usually get the starts, but he got the start for a reason. This kid can shoot.
That inbounded, knocked away by Lewis. Still going to be Morton ball. 5:05 here in the third quarter. The lead is trimmed down to 7 for the Potters. 34-27. Rugard kicks it over to Barlow. Corner three ball. Bounced high. No good. Rebounded by Vanderheit. Now Lewis coming across the court. Spins around. Slows it down. Guarded heavily by Barlow. Barlow's been able to poke balls away here in the second half. Being just a defensive menace on the court. Lewis here near corner next to our booth at the mid-court line. He'll go to work, gives it off to Kamiensky. Looked at the cut in Craighead. He'll work left, gives it to Vanderheit, swings it over to Johnson. Back over to Lewis, right side. Kamiensky with it, gives it off to Johnson. Top of the key. Great movement. Kamiensky docked away. It was a great cut by Kamiensky, but Gus Rugard denied it.
He might have gotten a little piece of the Washington player, and he gets called for the foul, but Gus Rugard, great effort, though. Got the shot block, obviously, but like I said, just got the foul called on him. But let's see if Washington can get these free throws to fall. Kaminsky at the line.
Kamiensky, his first free throw is good. Kamiensky, the sophomore guard for the Panthers, with a chance to make some crucial free throws here in a playoff game.
Yeah, Washington cutting this lead down to 6 for the against the Potters. They've definitely won the third quarter so far.
Kamiensky no good on the second, rebounded by Goodeman. 4:08 to play in the third quarter. Morton leads at 34-28. Washington off to a good start here in the second half. Here's the drive by Gus Rugard. Goes up, fouled. He hits the deck hard at that baseline. The foul goes on James Johnson. So now Johnson's going to have to be careful. That's his third foul here with 4 minutes to play here in the third quarter. Got to wonder if Schermerhorn might be taking him out.
Yeah, and with 10 points, he's the leader in points for the Panthers. So he's been pretty crucial in this game for Washington.
Rugard's first free throw takes a couple bounces but doesn't fall. James Johnson, he'll be out of the ball game. Colt Craighead replaces him.
It's a good decision by head coach Schermerhorn to get Johnson the rest, and obviously with 3 fouls, you're one of your better players. You don't want to test out anything.
Gus Rugard knocks in the second free throw. He's up to 10 points and now a 7-point Potter lead. Lewis tried to drive, lost it, picked up by Rugard. He'll drive 2-on-1, puts it up, off the glass, and one. Gus Rugard with the transition bucket.
Gus Rugard taking this game over. He's been very aggressive for the past couple of possessions. Gets the foul called in the first one, makes only 1 free throw, but now he is not stopping, folks. He drives in, draws another and 1 opportunity, and this time maybe he can convert it.
Gus Rugard on a good basketball run, and that's an offensive board by Barlow. His shot was no good, but Goodeman and Jackson right there for the tie-up. Possession's going to keep it with Morton.
You got to appreciate the effort from both these teams, from if you're both coaches, Abe Zeller and Eric Sturmahorn. And like I said, in the beginning, if the effort's like this for all the game, I'm excited to see the outcome.
Morton inbounding it, gives it off Rugard in the corner, tries to dribble out, gives it off to Goodman. Little screen action. Now Barlow with it, cross court. Gives it up to McKees, finds a cutting Rugard, kicks it out to McKees, shot fake, has his defender in the air a couple times, but kept on the pivot foot, and Coach Zeller kind of noticing the chaos, I should say, on that offensive sequence. He's going to call a timeout, get his guys readjusted here at a crucial point here in the third quarter, 3:23 to play. Morton up 37-28.
Yeah, Zeller realizing that his Potters team a little bit out of sync on the offensive end, kind of a rarity because this Potters team, they play really well together. And like I said before about Morton, they have a lot going for them. They have size, they have shooters, they have ball handlers. So usually they'll see them on the same page. But that one, they looked a little flustered. You have to also give credit to Washington's defense.
Both teams retaking the court. Morton will inbound it underneath their own basket. Alex McKees gives it off to Gus Rugard. Ball fake on the screen. Layup, no good. Rebounded by Rugard. Gets his own miss. Gives it up to Goodman. His shot no good. He got his own miss, and the second time is good from Goodman.
And just like that, Morton's lead reaches double digits again. They're starting to regain that momentum that Washington had to start the quarter.
Wes Goodman up to 6 points here. First two matchups, he had 16 and 26 respectively. Goodman's had quite the season and credits a lot of it to late night driveway session. That's knocked away from Barlow. Transition, tried to slam it. No good. Wow, Barlow, he wanted to make a statement with that. Ball hit the chains kind of connecting to the basket, so that's going to be out of bounds. He took a hard fall. They're all making sure he's okay.
That was pretty much power versus power there with Vanderheit, his athletic ability, and Barlow's obvious athletic ability. He gets the steal, and he tries to yam it on Vanderheit and takes a tough fall, like you said, Owen. And look at Vanderheit trying to help him up. Good sportsmanship by the Panthers and good sportsmanship for this game.
2:30 to play here in the third quarter. Potters by 11. Here's Andre Lewis, right wing, gives it up to Vanderheit, top of the key. A cutting Craighead gives it up to Lewis. He'll drive inside, left-hand floater, no good, too much, rebounded by the Potters. That was Grant Selke with the board. And now Gus Rugard is going to slow down the Potters offense. Little hesitation now, he'll drive, gets the bucket, and another one for Gus Rugard.
He has been taking this game over in the second half of the third quarter. He's been very aggressive. I mean, the past 3 out of the 4 possessions that Morton has had, he's been the one driving and he's been the one causing the fouls, and 2 out of the 3 of his drives have resulted in and ones.
The foul is going to go on DeAndre Jackson, his first for the 6'3 senior. And the free throw by Rugard, no good. So Potter's kind of having a little tough time at the free throw line. There's another whistle.
They're going to get Evan Barlow with the over the back. He reached over at Vanderheit. Good box stop by Vanderheit.
Barlow with his second foul. Here, 2:04 in the third quarter. Morton up 41-28 on Washington. Washington with the ball coming up on half court. CJ Duncan, he's been very quiet today. Hasn't had much going for him. He's guarded by Grant Selke. Duncan praised for his development over the past few years with the Panther program. Here's a drive by Vanderheit, right hook, good. Vanderheit with a nice drive. He's up to 7 points now and cuts the deficit to 11 with 1:30 to play here in the third quarter.
Ending this quarter on a good note for the Panthers will be big for them. got 90 seconds left in the go in the half. If they can hold Morton at least the 2 points or maybe even scoreless while getting their own points, would be huge for them.
Silas Steffen with the ball, hands it up to Alex McKee, gives it back to Steffen. He'll drive inside the paint, looking around, kicks it out. Goodeman shot fake, thought about it, dribbles around, keeps his pivot foot, kicks it out to Selke, finds Steffen in the corner, finds Goodeman down below. Great ball movement here by the Potters. Goodeman now top of the key. They're trying to settle down, but keep the pedal on.
You might be looking at Morton taking the last shot, or maybe.
Barlow gives it off to Selke. He'll set the pick and roll. Nothing doing for the Potters. Great defense here by the Panthers here at the end of the third quarter. The clock's going to roll down to 30 seconds. And now Steffen, his three-pointer, no good, off the rim, rebounded by Craighead. And they're going to get a foul as I believe it was Alex McKee tried to go for the jump ball, but he must have hacked him on the arm, and he'll get called on the foul.
It's like a really good job by Craighead with the defensive rebound. He was pretty much partied on by the Potters, and 3 Potters were going for the swipe, and ultimately one of the guys called for the foul as McKee picks up a foul of his own.
Yeah, that's McKee's first. Still in good shape here. 25 seconds to go here in the third quarter. Still an 11-point Potter lead. Washington inbounding the ball. C.J. Duncan with it, guarded by Selke. He'll bring it up across half court, one-on-one. Gives it off to Will Martin, left side of the court. Vanderheit now with it, poked away by Evan Barlow. Both Barlow and Vanderheit hit the deck, but Vanderheit must have had part of his body, well, maybe one of his legs, out of bounds as he last touched it, and they're going to rule it Potter basketball with 9.7 seconds here in the third quarter.
Yeah, Vanderheit thinks that maybe he was a little bit roughed on, and he has a fair point, but the refs at the end of the day figured that he was out of bounds before any severe contact happened that would have resulted in a foul. So more in basketball.
Trip Rugard to inbound the basket. Wes Goodeman with the basketball. Dribbling around, trying to find an open shot here for the last second. Gives it off to Silas Steffen. He'll drive, right-hand floater. Oh, in and out. Had the bucket, but the bucket denied him.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
As the zeros hit the clock here at Limestone in the third quarter, Morton up 41-30 on Washington. As we get to the fourth quarter, this is going to be do-or-die situation for Washington as they're down 11. They had a great start to the third quarter, went on kind of a little mini run, find themselves back in the ball game. You got to feel like not only they're going to have to do that to start the fourth quarter, but they're going to have to do it consistently in the fourth quarter.
They're going to have to continue their run. They can't really afford to have what they did in the third quarter, especially in the second half of the third quarter. The start of the third quarter for the Panthers was great. And what I said about in the pregame about Washington being on a little bit of a run just to gain some momentum, they did that. But the second half of the third quarter proved to be too much for them, and they're still in this situation where they're still down by double digits.
Morton, gotta believe they'll, keep the same approach here to start the fourth quarter of, being patient with the basketball. But if they got a transition bucket, they're gonna go after it. But they have the advantage that they can just hold on to it for as long as they want, whenever they want, and eat the clock. So that's, everybody, debates about the shot clock in high school basketball, and it is a true advantage to the team that has the lead in the fourth quarter of a game.
Yeah, there's no need for them up by 11. You're up by a sizable margin. You don't need to force anything. I wouldn't say hold it for the time you get the ball for the first time in the quarter. I would say just be passive and get what the defense gives you.
Now a three-pointer from Colt Craighead. No good. Short on it. Rebounded by C.J. Duncan, and he gets scored. C.J. Duncan with his first points of the game, and that's a shocker, saying that here in the fourth quarter.
He's one of the players for this Washington team that can definitely score, and you said it, Owen, a complete shocker, because you think of C.J. Duncan, you think of a score.
41-32, Morton leads, 7:20 here in the fourth. Potters have it. Here's Rugard, gives it up to his brother Tripp. Tripp working around, tries to kick it out. Here's Barlow on the cut. Finds his buddy down in the paint. That was Selke before he kicked it back to Rugard. Tripp Rugard slowing down things, trying to see what he can find. Barlow with it. He was fouled by CJ Duncan.
Yeah, and we said this in the beginning of the fourth quarter, Owen, about the Morton being passive, and they're looking for what the defense gives them. And if Washington chooses the foul, then they'll definitely take the foul, but they're not going to try to take like a step back three, for example. They're going to wait for the defense to create openings for a layup. CJ
Duncan picking up his first foul. Here's Wes Gudeman with it, gives it up to Selke. They'll swing it around to Tripp Rugard, far corner. He'll drive left side, almost lost it. Barlow now with it, top of the key. He'll drive, guarded by Duncan. Now Rugard near half court, trying to reset it. Pressured, almost stole by Duncan, leads to a wide open Barlow three. And a hard rebound by Vanderheit, and they're going to get an over the back on Gudeman.
That's a good shot take by the Potters, and I mentioned that they would just go for what the defense gives them. Maybe a layup would be the best shot scenario for them, but a wide open three-pointer, Evan Barlow taking the shot. I wouldn't complain with that, but then a silly over the back foul by Wes Goodman. Just get back on defense. Don't give Washington any reason to think that they can come back and win this game.
Barlow knocked down a three-pointer earlier in the game. He's been great on defense, getting a couple steals. Here's Vanderheit, kicks it out. Three ball, good! CJ Duncan for three.
You couldn't keep CJ Duncan cold for long.
Duncan starting to heat up. 41-35, and that's knocked away on the floor. That's Craghead. Last touch by Craghead. Great effort right there. Almost getting the turnover, and that could have been a huge turn of events.
Boy, what a play by Craghead. The effort was there. His bench was into it. You saw a lot of the Panthers players step up. They want to applaud their teammate. They want to congratulate him, and the coaches are into it too. So maybe that's the momentum shift that Washington needed. Their bench is into it now. They think with the 6-point deficit that they can definitely come back in this game. And it definitely helps that CJ Duncan is finally scoring the way he's been doing all season.
Could be a huge fourth quarter X factor for the Panthers. DeAndre Jordan checks in for James Johnson. Court a little wet. Refs making sure get it all cleaned up before they start play again. 5:45 here in the fourth quarter. Morton holding on to a 6-point lead. Washington's been able to do a good job staying alive here in the fourth quarter. See if they can get another defensive stop.
That would be huge for them, and definitely their bench is into it. I think the stoppage at play hurts them a little bit because now they don't feel as into it. They don't feel as amped up because of the second off that they had, but and there's a defensive foul there.
Foul goes on Will Martin. Gus Rugard had the ball, took a hard fall. Fans don't like that call.
Boy, this is definitely coming down to the wire. You're talking about less than 6 minutes left to go, and it's only a 6-point game. Just don't count out this Washington team.
Here's Rugard. Dribbling around, crossover, drives left, finds an open. Boker knocked away. They'll keep the ball. Great defensive recovery right there by the Panthers. 5:30 here in the fourth quarter, still a 6-point Potter lead. Barlow will inbound it. Finds Gudeman, left wing, hands it off back to Barlow. He'll go to work, tries to drive around the free throw line. Kicks it out, Alex McKee. Gives it off to Rugard. Still dribbling around. Tough defense by Will Martin. Kicks it out. McKee thought about it, and he traveled.
What a defensive possession by the Panthers, and they've been flustering Morton on that possession since it started. And it rightfully ends for the Potters in a travel because they've been flustered. They were pretty much trembling at this point. I mean, they were shaking. I mean, they were kind of nervous to make a mistake because this Panthers defense has been spectacular so in the later end of the fourth quarter.
The Panther defense putting together a big stop. Let's see if they can get a big basket to go with it. Clock going down to 5 minutes here in the fourth quarter. Still a 6-point Potter lead. Vanderheit, left wing, finds Duncan right at the free throw line, looking around, feeds it down to Vanderheit again, kicks it back. Duncan shot no good. It was blocked. Looked like by Boker.
You're right, it was by Boker. What a shot block by Boker. Steal the momentum away from the Panthers.
Boker, 6'6" junior. He's a baseball player for the Potters, left-hand pitcher. Seeing a lot of great athletes on the court. You know, you got the basketball. Obviously the basketball players, you know, Evan Barlow committed to Florida Gulf Coast. You look at Brandon Vanderheit from Washington. He's committed to play baseball at Maryville. James Johnson was on the football team. I believe Andre Lewis was on the football team as well.
Yep.
Ryan Schaffnett for Morton. He hasn't played in the game, but he is on the baseball team. So a lot of great overall athletes here on the court for Washington and Morton. Here at the break, 4:42, fourth quarter. Still a 41-35 Morton lead. Teams will retake the court.
Yeah, this game is shaping up to be a good one. And, you know, I was surprised that, you know, at halftime it was so far apart because I felt like Washington had played themselves a good basketball game for the most part. But now we're seeing Washington finally put you know, a good half together, finally a great half together, and now they're back into this game.
Look at a whistle on the Panther who hit the deck. Can't get a number. I think that, yep, that was Will Martin. He picks up his second foul.
It's a big thing to look at, too, with 4:33 left. Washington with 3 fouls, so they have one more foul to give before they allow Morton to be in the bonus.
But Morton, I mean, they've kind of had a tough time shooting free throws as Goodeman tried to go up and he was fouled on the shot. So that was their last foul to give. And they're going to get free throws anyway. But as I was going to say, Schermerhorn upset with that call. Fans
it was a
not
late
liking
call.
that one.
It was a very late call. They have a right to be upset. I'm not saying it wasn't a foul. In my opinion, that probably was a foul. But it was just so late that, you know, maybe they probably could have put the whistle away at the time they called it. But at the end of the day, we're shooting free throws.
Goodeman knocks down the first free throw. He's up to 7 points. James Johnson checks in for DeAndre Jackson. Second free throw from Goodeman. No good. Rebound by Vanderheit. So 42-35 Morton lead. 4:25 to play here in the fourth quarter. Johnson tries to drive, works his way back, throws it over to Vanderheit, now gives it up to Martin. Duncan down low in the post, kicks it out. Vanderheit, he'll drive. Right layup denied. Evan Barlow, who's been having a great defensive game, with another block. Now Trip Rugard with the ball, bringing it up half court line. 4 minutes to go here in the fourth quarter. 7-point Potter lead, trying to slow things down.
Don't need to force anything. You're up by 7.
Here's a drive from Rugard. Gets another and one bucket. Gus Rugard coming up clutch.
Once again, he has been impressive this corner, and he's got 3-and-1s in this corner, but he hasn't not converted on his first 2, so maybe this third time's a charm for him. And Eric Schermerhorn once again not happy, and I shouldn't say rightfully so, but given the situation with this team now in the bonus, or excuse me, Morton now in the bonus, it's not looking too favorable for him with the fouls.
Free throw good from Rugard. He's now up to 17 points, and going back to that foul, that was James Johnson, so he's now at 4 fouls. He's going to have to be careful here with 3:46 to play. Schermerhorn's going to keep him in, knowing it's a 10-point game, and he's had a great game with 11 points, so they're going to need him on the court.
It's a risk you have to take if you're Schermerhorn.
He'll go to work, and he was fouled by Goodeman. Goodeman, that's just his second foul.
Yeah, I figured they'd have it on the floor. I was thinking about what they were going to do, whether it was going to be with the shot or not.
So that'll be the second team foul from Morton. Washington will inbound it from the baseline. Cragegg gives it up to Vanderheit. He's in the corner with it. Finds a cutting dunking, but it was knocked away by Selke. Now Johnson gives up Kamenetsky. 3-ball off the glass. Luke Kamenetsky, the sophomore, with a big bucket. Just threw up a prayer, and it was answered.
Oh, my goodness. Sometimes it's just meant to be. Sometimes this game is just meant to be a good game. And, you know, a sophomore hits a bank shot, pretty much a fadeaway bank shot from the top of the key. I mean, sometimes, like I said, sometimes it's just meant to be.
Kamienski is going to see the good and the bad. As, you know, he gets the bank in 3, but it's going to come at a cost of his second foul. Rugard makes the first free throw. 3:16 here in the fourth quarter. 46-38, Morton leading Washington. Rugard still has another free throw to shoot. Eyes it up. Good. So some big free throws here from Gus Rugard.
Oh, boy.
Tried to get it inbounded. Knocked away. And they're going to rule it Potter basketball, I believe.
That one was just mishandled by Johnson, and that was more of a surprise than not because the way Johnson was past the ball, there was no Potter around him to even deflect the ball, but it was just mishandled, and a very big self-induced error by the Panthers.
Yeah, mental errors, you can't have them, especially in the fourth quarter of a playoff game here at the regional semifinals. Here's a nice layup, good by none other than Gus Rugard. He's now up to 21 on the night and extends it to an 11-point Potter lead here, under 3 to go. Panthers need something here. Vanderheit, they're going to get a timeout from Schermerhorn in the Panthers bench.
Yeah, not the situation you envision yourself being in if you're Coach Schermerhorn with the Panthers. And, you know, just not too long ago, it was only a 7-point game, and at times it was only a 5-point game, a 6-point game. So the lead has now ballooned to 11, which is unbelievable. I mean, that just happened like in a quick snap, you know, a snap of a finger. You know, a turnover caused by Washington turns into a Gus Rugard bucket. So we're back to an 11-point game, and this is a very crucial timeout for the Panthers. This is arguably the most important point in the game for the Panthers.
Indeed, it's going to be a big possession. You want to make sure you can draw up something right. And, you know, going back to your point, you know, between, like, you know, Washington coming back and it seems like Morton has always find a way to extend it back to an 11-point lead. But that's just the game of basketball, the game of runs. Morton just will find a way to extend the lead, but Washington has been able to answer from shortening the lead. They haven't had a lead in this game since the opening basket from Braden Vanderheit when it was 2-0.
Yeah, and ever since, the Potters have found their way to get on their own runs. And the Potter runs, the story of this game, the Potter runs have been bigger than the Washington runs. Inbound
almost goes out of bounds as Lewis was kind of tripped going for the the pass. He has it back now, right wing, dribbling around. Tries to work with Johnson, kicks it out. C.J. Duncan, three-pointer, good! A mammoth three-pointer from C.J. Duncan. Cuts the lead to 8 with 2:30 to play.
He was quiet the whole first half, no points, but in the second half, he's got all of his 8, and they're really big 8 points.
2:20 to play. You got to feel Morton wants to slow it down a little bit. And there's going to be a 5-second call on Trip Rugard, and that's going to turn the ball over to the Panthers. This could be huge.
Exactly what the Panthers needed. They needed something to happen on their defensive possession that favored them, and it wasn't a defensive stop, but it was a self-inflicted error by the Potters.
Vanderheit throws the ball in, gives it up to Duncan, guarded by Selke. Dribbles up. Johnson tries to set the screen for him, move around. Johnson now in the post. He has it, goes to work on Selke. Post moves, gets it, and one! A huge bucket by James Johnson.
The sophomore is coming up big. An and one opportunity. And this is arguably, if it's not the game winner for Washington, this is arguably the biggest basket, because not only do you give yourself a three-point opportunity, it gains back all the momentum that you need to come back and win this game.
Big free throw upcoming from Johnson. And he's cold as ice as he knocks it down.
That's arguably his biggest free throw of his young career.
2-minute mark here in the fourth quarter. It's a 5-point Morton lead. Don't go anywhere, folks. This is going to be a great finish here at Limestone. Trip Rugard near half court, gives it up to Selke, back to Rugard. He's going to get double teamed. Gives it up to his brother Gus. Now it's Barlow in the corner. He'll drive inside. Puts up the layup, no good, gets his own rebound. Second shot, no good. Rebounded again by Selke, and he'll kick it out to Rugard. 1:30 to go here in the fourth quarter, and there's a whistle on Andre Lewis.
And that's a big foul, and these fouls are not big for Washington, because now they have no more fouls to give. So you're just giving Morton free shots, and those free shots are not what Washington wants to give up with a 5-point deficit.
Every free throw is going to be critical for here. The remaining minute, 29 seconds. Rugard at the line, and boy, he's been big with them lately. First shot, no good. Rimmed in and out.
That's a tough break for him.
Rugard having a phenomenal game with 21 points. Becker's going to check in for Goodeman. He'll take probably a quick seat on the bench. I'm sure he'll be checked back into the game quickly. Get him some water. Now Rugard knocks in the second. Extends the lead to 6 here. 1:28 to play. Panthers with the ball. Big possession right here for both teams, really. Here's Lewis. Kind of had a wide open shot. Drove to the lane. Couldn't get it to fall. A little too much on that layup. And he's going to pick up a foul on the defensive side, trying to get a steal.
Just not a foul you want to give up in this situation. I mean, you have to foul at some point because you're down, but I would not foul with over a minute left to go. I would wait a little bit longer because you're in the bonus. You can't give up any more fouls.
Lewis now joins Johnson in foul trouble, each with 4 fouls. 1:10 here in the fourth quarter. 50-44 Morton lead. Free throws being shot by Gus Rugard. He knocks in the first.
It also doesn't help when you foul a guy like Gus Rugard, who is not 100% from the free throw line by any means, but he's been hitting them lately.
Rugard's second free throw, good. 24 from Gus Rugard. It's now a 52-44 Morton lead. You got to feel the Panthers are in the danger zone now as the clock hits 1 minute to go here in the fourth quarter.
They need a bucket here.
Duncan with it, gives it off to Lewis. They're going to have to go quick. Lewis, guarded by Rugard, knocked away by Barlow, and another knock. Evan Barlow sticking his hands in there. Now Vanderheit with a big three-pointer. Braden Vanderheit, when he needed it the most, comes through for the Panthers.
He's got ice in his veins. What a shot by Vanderheit. That was not an easy shot. In the left corner, takes one dribble to his right, a step to his right, shoots a fadeaway three-pointer, and man, if they did not make that shot, you're looking at a game that's over, but he makes it, and Eric Schermerhorn calls a timeout, and they have life in Washington.
Vanderheit might be the stud baseball player, but he's proven to be an impact on the hardwood tonight. 42.8 on the clock. Morton leads 52-47. Washington call the timeout here. Trying to just get everything situated. Knowing the situation, you want to make sure your defense can either get a quick stop or maybe a quick foul.
I think at this point you would have to foul. I didn't agree with fouling so early. I would wait for a minute to surpass, but with 42.8 seconds remaining, you're down by 5. I'm not saying you, as soon as they inbound a foul, because you're not at that point yet, but you need to play aggressive defense and hope that you might get a turnover, you might get a steal. But at the end of the day, I mean, if it's taking too much time off the clock, I would foul.
Panthers with the full court press here. And I got to believe they're going to be aggressive. Try to not foul, see if they can get a quick turnover since they're right next to their bucket, but we'll see. Gus Rugard inbounding the ball, gives it to Goodeman. Double team by 2 Panthers. He'll try to, he picks up his dribble. Now he's stuck. Smartly calls the timeout. And that's A great heads-up play by the junior. 37.6 seconds here on the clock. Morton up 5 points. They couldn't afford a turnover right there, especially with the ball nearest to the Panther goal basket.
Yeah, Washington, they realized what they needed to do. They executed what they needed to do. They needed to fluster Morton, if anything, to have them call their own timeout. And Washington gets another opportunity to talk things over, another opportunity to refuel. And for Morton, you know, we talk about Washington being aggressive and hoping for turnovers. It's pretty much the opposite for them. You need to take care of the basketball. Do not be risky with your passes. If need be, call another timeout. Make sure that you understand what you are doing.
Yeah, you definitely feel that Coach Zeller's just preaching, you know, just be smart with the ball. Don't put yourself in a bad spot where you're going to force a turnover. You know, make sure you got both feet on the ground. You don't want to go up in the air without knowing what you're going to do with the basketball. Barlow will inbound it from the sideline. C.J. Duncan guarding him. Here's Rugard. They'll get a quick double team. Blew a whistle. Couldn't see. I'm assuming it's a foul. Send him to the line.
Yep, it is a foul on Washington.
And that's on Andre Lewis. And he's going to be done for the night, but the 6-foot junior had a good start to the night with 8 points. Had a quiet second half, but did a great job commanding the Panthers' offense.
Yeah, that foul was a little confusing for me. I mean, I didn't see too much handsy work, and I think at this point in the game, you need to let the players play a little bit, let them dictate the game. Obviously, if something is obvious, I would call it, but at this point in the game, I'd let the players play and decide the game.
35.9 on the clock, 52-47. Morton leading. Gus Rugard with free throws. He's been to the charity stripe a lot tonight. Knocks in the first.
I feel like the more free throws he shoots, the bigger they become, and it's no different here. These are arguably the biggest shots of the game.
And, you know, not only, like, you know, the more free throws, the bigger they become, but I feel like he gets more comfortable, too, because his first few free throws, he had trouble making them, but he's been able to knock in most of them here lately. Second shot, good. He's now up to 26 on the night. 54-47, Morton leading. Panthers are going to have to go quickly. Johnson drives, layup, does not get the roll. Rebounded by Morton, and that's Rugard, and he gets fouled by C.J. Duncan.
And that'll arguably do it. 7-point lead by the Powders, and all of a sudden these free throws don't seem as big as last ones, but you got to believe if he makes one or two or both of them, this game is pretty much over.
Time against Washington right now. First free throw, good by Rugard. 23.6 on the clock.
That was Rugard's 15th free throw of the night. So you talking about being comfortable. I mean, that's got to be, I mean, one of the reasons he's got to be so comfortable is because he's shot so much from the line. He makes his 16th.
Makes the second 28. It's almost over half his points coming from the charity stripe. Clock down to 20 seconds. It's a 9-point Morton lead. The Coffins just closing in quickly on the Panthers. Craghead gets a basket. Inbounded by the Potters. Boker with it. Clock down under 5, and they'll get a foul. But feel like it's a little too late here for Washington. Calvin Boker's going to go to the line with 2 free throws. Already up 7 with 4.2 seconds. So these kind of just extra points, if you want to say, extend the game just a little bit, extend the seniors' high school playing careers as he missed the first.
Yeah, if I'm Washington and I wanted any chance to even have an opportunity to come back in this game, I would have fouled earlier. Playing aggressive defense with less than 10 seconds does not work out for you.
Boker makes the second. Clock down to 1. Vanderheit will get the last shot off, and it was no good. So as clocks hit 0 here at Limestone for the regional semifinal, it's the Morton Potters on top of the Washington Panthers, 57-49. And now the Morton Potters will take on the Richwood Knights, I believe Friday night here in Limestone again for the regional title. Great game here from both Mid-Illini foes. Saw a lot of back and forth action. The Panthers trying to scrape their way back from time to time. Potters from time to time extending the lead. But in the end, the Potters found a way to win, and it was all led by Gus Rugard.
Yeah, just a great game in general, Owen. It was a game of runs, and we didn't see any back and forth as much as we saw just 5-0 runs, 6-0 runs, 7-0 runs. And ultimately, Washington had their own runs, but Morton's runs were bigger, and they were more momentum-wise. You know, you're talking about and one opportunities left and right by Gus Rugard at the end. That was really what set them apart. And a great game by Washington, as always. Eric Stromerhorn always has his players playing hard, but, man, what a tough way to go out. And we salute the Washington seniors on a great season. Javion White, number 5 for Washington. DeAndre Jackson, number 21. He got some playing time tonight. And Brandon Vanderheit, one of the best Washington Panthers that come out of the program, one of the best Washington Panthers to come out of the school, and it's all said and done for him. Once again, going to play baseball at Maryville University. And, yeah, we salute them, and a great season overall by the Panthers. Didn't end the way any team would want them to end, not getting the regional title. But, once again, just a great season by Eric Stromerhorn's company.
Hats off to the Panthers on their season as it comes to an end here at Limestone High School. But for Morton, they're still alive, and as the team that's ranked 10th in 3A, they got to feel like they have a good shot to still go further, you know, even beyond sectionals, maybe even a state run. But they're going to have a lot on their plate Friday night with Richwoods. You know, we saw them in that first game against East Peoria, and they had their way. You know, they're a senior-led group with the Rutgers commit Lathan Somerville. I think it'll be a great game between Morton and Richwoods on Friday night. What's kind of your preview going into that one?
I gotta say, you know, Morton, a great season and now 28-4, a great season by the Potters, and a great season on the other side of things for Richwoods with Lathan Somerville and all the seniors they have, and it should be a good one. It's a Big 12 and Mid-Illini crossover, and those are always good, fun matchups because it's 3A versus 3A, and obviously you said Morton with the number 10 spot in Class 3A, Richwoods receiving votes in 3A, which is unbelievable to me because they're really good this year, Richwoods is, and they've been in the poll, but right now they're only receiving votes, and whoever wins that game will undoubtedly have a tough test in front of them because they will play the winner of the Streeter Regional with Kankakee being the number 1 seed, and if Kankakee were to win that regional, that's the number 9 team in Class 3A that Richwoods or Morton would have to face. So should be a fun sectional in this time of year, and I can't wait to see the outcome of these playoffs in general because these playoffs are really fun.
A lot of good basketball to be played around the IHSA, and we're just getting started with regional action. We'll still have sectionals and a state tournament run. Kind of final thoughts here in Limestone. Panthers come up short. They were led by James Johnson with 14 points, Braden Vanderheit with 10, Andre Lewis 8. CJ Duncan came alive in the second half with 8. And on the flip side for the victorious Potters, it was Gus Rugard with 28, Goodeman with 7, Tripp Rugard with 7, and Evan Barlow only had 5 points, but he had quite the defensive effort with the blocks and steals. So once again, Potters on top here in the regional semifinal. What are your final thoughts from this game, Michael?
It was a great game, and I expected nothing less from two Mid-Illini rivals that know each other well. We mentioned about beating a team 3 times. Morton was able to do that. It's almost impossible to do that, especially a team like Washington. And, yeah, just a great game. And looking to all the other scores around the area in terms of the IHSA regional semifinal action, Rock Island defeats Normal Community West, so the Wildcat season is over, and the Rocks surpass and survive in advance. And they will play Bradley Bourbonnais, who took care of business against the Pekin Dragons, 48-26. That Rock Island score, by the way, was 52-45. So that regional championship game, or excuse me, no, that they're just moving on to they're in different regional championship games, is what I mean to say. Let's see if there's other scores around the area that we are aware of. Oh, the Illini Bluffs taking care of business against Quest Charter Academy. The Gator season is over. And the Illini Bluffs Tigers advanced. They're number 1 seed in their regional, and they are looking very strong in the 1A playoffs, as are the girls too. The IB basketball, both teams are doing pretty well this year. And then Peoria High takes care of Dunlap. Let's see if I can fetch the score here. Peoria High 59, Dunlap 45. So, like we said about Richwoods and Morton, a Mid-Illini Big 12 crossover, that will happen on Friday. And this Big 12 Mid-Illini crossover goes in favor of the Big 12. 59 Peoria High, 45 Dunlap. The Eagles season is over. Salute to all those seniors that ended their seasons today, and good job to all the teams that survived in advance, and we'll play on Friday.
All right, and that will do it for us here at Limestone. Thank you for joining us for both games. Saw a lot of great basketball. For Caden Sexton on the producing side, John Michael joining us, and for my partner, Michael Savoy, I'm Owen Dimfel signing off. Once again, Morton victorious here in the regional semifinal. They'll face Richwoods Friday night. We'll see you later, folks.